This video is made for adult collectors because ConstructBot started 11 years ago, and I don't like that. It's the end of the year. I keep talking about time things.
Wow, this print quality is really nice. I don't remember this. Why don't we get this nowadays? If you can get it on this cheap ass thing. All right, let's get the bags open. Yeah. Okay. Pieces. Plastic bag is going in the box. Yay, there he is. God, he looks goofy with that head.
Hasbro has had a couple of ventures into the buildable action figure space, and as someone who has a long history of buildable action figures, I was all over this. They seemed really cool and filled the gap left by Lego Bionicle, who ended 3 years prior. ConstructBots, or Construct-A-Bots as referred to on some of the shipping boxes and retail websites, was a toy line that was very Bionicle coded that came out of a couple years after it died, and seeing as toy lines like this take a couple of years to make on average, so my marketing senses are tingling, and I think they may have decided to do this after Bionicle's cancellation, seeing a gap open up in the market, and they tried to take advantage of it. That's my theory anyways. But yeah, toy. This is Starscream, part of the Scout class of ConstructBots from the first wave. There's the Scout class name again, for something completely different. Paired with Ironhide that I don't have, he is an interesting figure for what, like, $10 US retail. I think he's a pretty sizable toy. You saw the build. It wasn't hard, and it's very Bionicle coded, as I've said, but it was fun nonetheless, and the colors are okay. I really don't like this gray. It's lighter than that unpainted shade they use a lot on like Reactivate Prime, for example. I dig the shade of blue and red they use, though it's so sparse here. I wish there was more. The head is funky, and only 1/3 of his head on most, not all, but most, was like this. It's strange, but it's very funny. He doesn't have his traditional null rays, just these stubby Gatling guns, which are kind of neat. They're very nicely detailed, I will say. I like the way they look. And his wings are on his arms, not on his back. But this is a buildable action figure, so you can just put them pretty much wherever you want. Though I would be careful with that. ConstructBots aren't the greatest at withstanding the test of time. I've had plenty of like the first couple of waves of these figures in the past with C-clips that just snap over time, and even the wiki has to make note of the ball joints. Much like Creo, they use this weird rubber construction for the ball joints because it adds strength and rigidity to the design, but they warp super easily if left sitting for too long, and rubber does not like time. It is either going to turn into a sticky nightmare or solidify and rot away, which is apparently what these ones like to do. Mine usually just sort of squish themselves into weird square configurations and don't work anymore. They make posing this figure kind of unpleasant, which is a shame because he's pretty much as articulated as I'd want something like this to be for the time. Mine is 2 pieces of modern articulation that Bionicle didn't even have, but they had a really interesting way around it. A lack of thigh and bicep swivels. The articulation on this figure is, it was pretty much the same on all the ConstructBot figures as far as I can remember, at least on the first wave. Head is on a ball joint, though it is really stiff because it's rubber. And because this stock is so thin, I have actually sheared necks off of ConstructBots, rotating the head. So I imagine it can do a full 360. These shoulders, they can do a full 360. They go out about that far. No bicep rotation. You have a little bit of a cut at the ball joint here that allows for a tiny bit of in and out, which is nice. You've got an elbow joint. These are ratcheted, by the way. Every single C-clip is a soft ratchet, and I will touch on why I find that's a tiny bit of an issue in a minute. So you have that. You have that at the wrist as well, so the wrist can go up and down and hinge in and out and rotate, but again, it's on the same stock as the neck, so I'm going to be careful. Hips, they can go forward, they can go back, they can go in and out. Again, you have that little bit of a cut there to allow for some pseudo thigh rotation. 90 degrees of bend at the knee. You only get 2 clicks. A little annoying, but you get 2 clicks. The feet also have clicks. Then you have a ball joint at the bottom of the foot, so you can, rotate all that around to your heart's content. You have that much ankle tilt. Now, to explain the whole thigh swivel, bicep swivel thing, we're going to bring in our good buddy, God Almighty Matanui here. So you can see, right, you have a little bit of in and out at these joints to allow for a bicep rotation of sorts, but it doesn't actually have one. So at most, the arms can go in about that far, that's it, and go out about, can I go any further? A little bit further, about that far. Not terrible, but not amazing. But the way the Bionicle did it, you can see
the way that, let me get this piece of armor off. The way that this shoulder is designed, there's so much space in there. So you get so much in and out rotation at that ball joint that you can get the arms to go further in and further out. Couple that with the play that they have here at the elbow, right? There's always been this. It's always had this. Even on here's a 2004 set. You have it here. And that allows you to use both this and this to activate a bicep swivel of sorts to get the arm to go in more. This doesn't have that because the arms are on C-clips, not ball joints. So you kind of lose that pseudo bicep swivel of sorts. And same here with the thighs, right? That is so much more play in the thighs, even though it doesn't actually have a swivel built in. It's just this ball joint here and this little knee bit here. Granted, this is a little bit more stiff, but like this works. This works a lot nicer for me than how ConstructBots did it. And I think they just needed to make these not be built like this. Like have them built more like this system here rather than the way that they've done the ball joints here to allow for more play in them so you can get that sort of pseudo bicep and thigh swivel. I wish they did that.
Now, unlike Creo, this transforms, and most of them follow the same sort of inner conversion steps, so it gets repetitive.
So unlike Creo, the biggest draw to this, to me and to a lot of people, was that you didn't have to completely disassemble the entire set to transform it. They have their own transformations. You do have to remove the weapons, because I mean, every transformer you have to remove the weapons to transform it. But ConstructBots all pretty much share the same transformation skeleton. So at least, again, the first wave. I didn't really get much of the later waves. But to start with, we are going to open up his chest and fold the head in. Which, by the way, that just looks like a Makuta Fantoka torso. It's kind of funny. Bring the head in, close this section up, bring the cockpit up. Then we are going to take the hands and bring them up like that. Take the hands, bring them up like that. Then we're going to unclip the waist and rotate this around. You want to bring the feet so that they are facing like this. And I like how they made these holes. They made these holes right here to line up with the feet holes. So if you want to like custom build something and shove something through there, you can. That's kind of cool. Then you bring this up and it will peg into the section that is holding the cockpit into place, but bend the foot down and leave it down for now. You want to get both of these lined up. Make sure the waist is straight. Get both of these lined up. Then you bring the feet up and they're going to peg into the nose cone. And this is where my problem with the ratcheted C-clips comes into play, because they're detented in it's out of focus. They're detented in very specific spots here, but now it is sitting at a very slight angle. And that means that because they're constructed like this. You see that little hexagonal sort of pattern going on that hinge there? So that means that the flat part is pushing up against this ridge on this section here, which puts unwanted stress on the C-clip. And I find that a lot of them that I've left in alt mode broke. Like Shockwave, Optimus Prime, Megatron, they've all sort of like, I had Blitzwing, he's broken. And I feel like that has to do with the fact that there is unnecessary stress being put on these ratchets because they're sitting in the middle of their detents. But anyways, you take this, you plug this into the side here, and plug this into the side here. Now you can straighten out the wings if you want to. I don't like the way that looks. You can also move them to these clips. I prefer them on these ones, but I also like to leave them folded in. It makes the jet feel a bit more sleek. Then you can take the weapons and plug them into here and here. And there you have his jet mode.
I like the whole reverse swooping wings look. It's a neat jet, though it's very clearly just Starscream trying to play hide and seek. He isn't hiding the greatest. This mode, though, is rather solid. Everything pegs in and fits very well together. Giving it a shake means it doesn't want to fall apart. It's quite nice. And he does shrink a lot, too, in this mode. Like, he condenses. As a toy overall, though, it's okay. Not the greatest thing, and it won't last super long. Like I said, I have Shockwave somewhere. He's my last quote-unquote surviving ConstructBot from years ago, and his limbs do not like staying on. So this one I don't have that much faith in either, though this one is smaller and lighter, so there isn't as much stress on the parts. I still don't see it lasting more than like 5 years. Do I recommend it? Not really. If you want a buildable action figure transformer, I would recommend something Creo, but they still have the rubber joint issues, so I would ultimately just say get some Bionicle parts and make one yourself, or venture out into the model kit scene and buy like a Flame Toys model kit, YOLO Park. blockies, all these other things. But that's been my look at ConstructBot Starscream. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.